Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Hard 100, a video series documenting the culling of my collection from what it is to what it is going to be, and that is a Hard 100 games. There is something to be said about a unique theme. Sometimes themes are just pasted on, a lot of times themes are just pasted on, especially some of our Euro-y point salad-y games. Some people think that you can't have a thematic game without chunking some dice. Ameritrashes, we love our theme. If you're not pulling me in with some kind of beautiful bits or some kind of evocative idea, I'm not really on your side. Today, however, we're going to be talking about a game that's a little Euro-y, but this theme is, in one word, goddamn. Does that make it a good game? Holding On, The Troubled Life of Billy Kerr. Holding On, The Troubled Life of Billy Kerr by Hub Games, designed by Michael Fox, Rory O'Connor, and illustrated by Brian G. Jones, is a hell of a fucking game, I'll tell you that right now. It is a co-op game in which has you and some people trying to sort through the history of this gentleman before he fucking dies. The story and the theme is a big part of this game, and I am not going to spoil it for you. I will give you an idea. I'm going to spoil everything in the first mission because that just teaches you how to play the game, and it teaches you why old Billy Kerr is with you. Billy Kerr had a heart attack on a plane from Australia to Ireland? And now he's in some Irish hospital, and there he is, and you're trying to figure it out. It goes from there. There are 10 missions, and we will talk about how far I made it in those missions in just a moment. But there are 10 missions, and what this game is having you do is monitoring Billy Kerr through his recovery. Sometimes you have to... It's kind of hard to explain. You are a nurse, and you have another nurse and some other people in the hospital helping you. And on your turn, you're going to flip a card, and there are going to be some different icons on there. There's going to be a left side of the card and a right side of the card, or there might be a big fuck you in the middle. You want to give him some physical care, in which case you put your nurse pawn and then fill it up with some tokens. And for every token you don't fill, makes him less healthy and he could possibly die. Or you can try to talk to him about his memories, which is a whole other thing. And then if your nurse needs to work again, they can receive stress and they have to go home if they get too much stress. Okay. And if you can't give him any care during the day, or you can't ever do certain other things, then the hospital reprimands you and you get 2 reprimands and the game is over. If Billy dies, game is over. If you make it through the patient style deck, game over. So there are a couple of ways to lose the game, and you only win by completing that scenario's objective. The scenario for the first one is just to find 5 clear memories, 1 in each timeline. So what we're working with here is there are some timelines, and whenever you activate one of the icons on one of his cards, you basically flip through a deck and you can pull out cards that have a fuzzy picture on it, and then later you can use other cards or other actions to try to make that picture clear by drawing from a different deck. Let me break that down on exactly what that means that you're doing. What you're doing is you are trying to keep this old bastard right here alive long enough so you can flip through a deck to get a fuzzy card, so that gives you the opportunity to flip through another deck to get a clear version of that card. And if you don't get a clear version of a fuzzy memory that he already gave you, it goes back in the deck, reshuffles, and it's a goddamn nightmare. Let's do some housekeeping before I get into the thick of it. All right, ages 14 and up. There's some fucks, there's some heavy material. This theme is not a theme you're gonna see. There are a couple of doctor hospital games, but this one, 2 to 4 players. I actually played it solo because fuck you, I did. And I had 2 head nurses, and I kept track of their care tokens separately, and it didn't take away from it at all. It was an interesting puzzle. I know there are solo rules on the way, but I just kept their tokens separate, and it was really easy to do. And then 45 to 60 minutes. It's gonna be more 45 than 60 because you're gonna die a lot. All right, all that out of the way. Holding On, The Troubled Life of Billy Kerr is one of those games that when you play once, you gotta ask yourself, am I ever gonna play this again? And I am not. Billy Kerr is out of my Hard 100, but we are not done with this conversation. There are 10 scenarios. I played through 6 of them, and I only won 1 of them. Now, you might say, hey, well, if you lost, you should replay that scenario so you can really get the full gusto of it. To that, I say, nah. The game itself is 60% amazing and 40% go fuck yourself. So the amazing bit, the one that I love that board at the top where you are assigning nurses and trying to get their resources enough to be able to give him the medical attention that he needs, and then trying to talk to see if you can figure out what memories he has. That's wonderful. And then if you spread them too thin, they get stressed and you have to send them home to de-stress because otherwise they don't work. And then we have some other ones that will come in and help you for one-shots and they're out for the game. That whole board and then going down the flat line to keep him alive, wonderful. I love it. I wish they would put that in another game, but not this one. The 40% that I hate is the goal, what you're trying to do. The scenarios basically have you doing a version of the first scenario. You have to get X number of clear memories, but first you have to go through X number of fuzzy memories. So you have to draw a card to find another card and then match them, and that's not fun. Going through that deck to try to find the memories that you need. And there are things that you can try to do to mitigate that. Let's say if I need a memory from a certain timeline, there are game mechanics that allow you in later scenarios to try to steer the conversation, because this is all thematically you talking to him. It can steer the conversation to draw certain timeline cards, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get the one that you need. Most of the time what happened is old Billy Boy either died, or what most likely will happen is that the deck will run out and then it's over. I never lost because the hospital reprimanded me more than once. I never lost that way. But specifically running out of the deck because you're tasked to do something that is boring and not worth it. But the story that it's trying to tell is pretty good. A lot of Ireland's history is lost on me, and I went to Ireland 4 or 5 months ago, and I heard a little bit about some of the stuff that they're kind of maybe talking about in here, but it doesn't hit me the way that a story, if I was from Ireland, this would probably hit me a lot more. If I was from Northern Ireland specifically, let's get real. But I'm an American. I'm a Texan, as a matter of fact. So if this was something closer to home, I maybe wouldn't have had to do the research to understand the story they were trying to tell. And at the end, they guide you in a direction if you want to know more information about him. So while Billy Kerr is a fictional character, the events and the things that happen in his life are very real. Bottom line, Holding On, The Troubled Life of Billy Kerr is a game. It's not enough of a game to make me want to play it all the way through. So what I did is after the 6 missions, I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just read the scenarios, I read the story that came with it, and I read the success text on the back and just finished the story. Was it worth it? Was it when I put maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hours into this game just to kind of play it and see if it was something I really enjoyed? It was not. I will never play this game again. If the game itself was better than 60% great, nah. And even then, the story, it's not really ruined. It's just kind of a muddled mess. I want to see this done again. I want to see it done. I want to see a bonkers ass theme of me trying to keep this old guy alive. Just anything. At this point, you can make a game out of anything. You can make a game out of this. It's a beautiful idea, but the execution for me was lacking. I will never play this game again, but if you have a friend who bought it and they want to play it with you, I recommend you go give it a shot. Do I recommend that you be that friend that buys it for everybody? Absolutely not. But Holding On, Troubled Life of Billy Kerr, already told you that one's out, but it's worth looking at. It's kind of a mess. Rulebook's kind of a headache. Half of the game is really good. The other half of the game is frustrating. And to say the least, the 60% of the game that is good is as good as the last 40% of the game is bad. It's not enough to make up for it. It's a failing grade. Holding On, The Troubled Life of Billy Kerr. And got to admit, his name was Billy, so every time I read Billy, I was like, That's weird. Is out. I am done with this game. I hope you either look into it or watch someone play it online or whatever. It's not a good game. It is a fantastic theme. It is going out on a limb to get that done. And the game of managing your nurses, super awesome. But the thing that you're trying to ultimately get those nurses to do is boring and not fun. There's not a version of this game that isn't a scenario, so it's not like Pandemic Legacy where I go through all of this and at the end, I still have a perfectly functioning copy of Pandemic I can play. Peace out, Billy Kerr. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you and yours are well. My name is Billy. Thank you for joining me on this somber edition of the Hard 100. Peace out.